All right, good evening, everybody, and thank you for attending this special informational meeting concerning the 2022-2023 budget. The purpose of this informational meeting tonight is to share information regarding a needed correction in our preliminary budget. This correction is caused by a rebalance of our millage rates between Perry and Dauphin counties. Due to the fact that we are a dual county school district. In addition, this change will have a slight impact on the revenue that will cause a slighter deficit that will result in a little bit increased usage of fund balance. Out of full transparency, we wanted to share this information as soon as possible, but it's important for me to share a couple of things. Since this is a correction of our millage rates and a rebalance according to the school code, we do not need to reapprove the preliminary budget. Second, it's important to note that this is not a systemic issue. Rather, this was an error that was caught, although late, but in all previous years' numbers are accurate. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Pete Bard, Assistant to the Superintendent for Finance and Operations, to review a little bit more detail pertaining to this. Mr. Bard?
Thank you, Dr. Fox. As you can see on the presentation slides behind me, the error was received on when we were putting in the budget data into the PDE form on CFERS, which is the PDE form that we put on our budget documents, which is the budget document that you will receive in your budget pack that will be approved at the, that was approved in May and will also be approved in June with the final budget. Like I said, there is no need to reapprove the preliminary final budget, as it does not affect materially the budget document. This was just a rebalancing form of the budget. The meeting revealed in the complex formula for rebalancing of the counties that there was an error in the data import that was occurred. As a result, the tax millage rates needed to be corrected. It wasn't a systematic or a legacy issue, but rather a data input issue. The balancing is according to the Pennsylvania School Code, section 672.1. And since it's a rebalancing correction, this does not require us to revote on the preliminary budget. I want to reemphasize for members of the public that the school district is not levying new taxes, is not raised taxes. So that's, I think, very, very important to note. While the taxes may increase in Dauphin County, they will actually decrease in Perry County, which I will go through momentarily here on the spreadsheet that is actually the data form that we used at PASBO, and we'll also go through here. So as you could see here, the approximate tax revenue that we'll receive from real estate taxes will be around $10.5 million. I want to draw your attention to line 16 or number 2 there, where it says amount of tax relief from homestead exclusions. It increased 26% from last year. That was really a last-second addition from the Pennsylvania Department of Education. It really came out of the blue. There was no press release from Governor Wolf's office and no press release from the legislator. It came out really as we're going to give the districts more money from the gaming funds to spread out over farmstead exclusions. What that means for the average taxpayer in the district is your homestead exclusion rate will increase by approximately $45. Last year it was $196. This year will be $235.71. So anyone that applied and got accepted for the farmstead exclusion will see an increase of approximately $45. And that is I don't know. I cannot promise you that will stay. Because I don't know if that's a sustainable source of revenue. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if it's going to stay, but because we haven't seen an increase in that number since 2007. So I have no idea if that number is stable or not, but that is what's going to occur there. When you scroll down to line 26 through 30 through the 37, they're the assessment values of the properties here in the county that we get from the county offices. If you take a look, and specifically at Dauphin County, lines 27 and line 31, you'll see a decrease in the property value for Dauphin County from $16 million to $16.5 million, $16.6 million, to the decrease to just over $16 million in Dauphin County. When you look at Perry counties in the same time period, you'll see an increase in the Perry County assessment values. That is what drives really the rebalancing act of what rebalances the taxes. Now, when you look at historical data, the taxes have always been rebalanced in the county over the years. So it had the millage rate has always been rebalanced here every year that the board has passed the budget. When you scroll down, so the base millage that you guys have approved was line number 38 there, which was the 23.1372 and the 13.0740. That was what was the error. Now, if you go to the next slide, Christine, thank you. The line we should have used was line L, where it says 2022-2023 rate. So the rate we should have been using was the 23.9845 and the 12.5992. That is the rebalanced tax rate for the county, and that takes into the weighted average of the property taxes in the county. So, or for both counties. There are 88 multi-county school districts in Pennsylvania. Some districts lie across, most of them lie across 2 counties like us. There are some that lie across 3, and there's even one that goes across 4 counties, and all of them have to do this. Some have substantially higher rebalancing acts. Some of them have somewhat smaller, but this county, this one leaves us with this tax increase unfortunately for Dauphin County, and will lead to a tax decrease in Perry County by about a half a millage point. The impact that this will lead for the taxpayers in Dauphin County would mean a median assessment value in Dauphin County, the residency have about $109,000, and it'll be approximately an increase of $133 in their tax bill. There are 40% of the property owners in Dauphin County. There are 198 total properties in Dauphin County. 18 of them are tax exempt. So there's 180 total properties, and out of those 180 total properties, 40% of them receive a homestead exemption. And out of that homestead exemption, their homestead exemption will increase by $40 or $45, like I mentioned previously. So their tax bill will go up approximately, after that homestead is applied, approximately $90 after that is all taken into effect, which is averaging approximately, I'd say, about $8 or $9 per month. I know that's not something that we want to take, that the taxpayers want to hear. Property taxes are a very archaic way of funding any municipal government. I get it, it's not fair. But once again, this school board and this school district have not raised taxes. This is not them doing this. This is a state formula based in Pennsylvania school code that can only be changed by an act of the legislator, an act of the state government, and really the school district's hands are tied at this particular moment, and they really can't do anything really to change this. And this is kind of how it pans out. So what is this actual impact on the school district as a whole? So what this does is it actually reduced our revenue to $33,796,274, and that is after we increased our investment strategy of investing some of our fund balance. And then this will be something I talk about at the caucus meeting, but because of this kind of emerging threat to the budget, I wanted to talk about it now a little bit. We'll be investing some of our fund balance into higher interest rates. Right now we're getting 0.35%. We can invest it and get 1.80% or maybe even 2% as the feds continue to raise the interest rates. That will generate probably around $150,000 to $200,000 in revenue, and we'll bring that up, and that will cut some of our expenses down. The impact on the additional deficit is $296,000. I actually expect to cut that down to probably around $25,000 after I meet with the South Central Trust Board members in July and also in September. But since that is not finalized, I don't want to include that in there right now because of the fact that it's not finalized, and I can't give you finalized numbers without a special vote that they have. And what we're doing there is we're going to ask them to release some of our extra money we have in reserve there We have 13 and a half months of cost, and we're asking them to release an extra month of cost, which is about $275,000, and it's against their bylaws to do that. They need to make a special exception for us to do that. And I'm going to be pitching hard for that because of how much cost we have available there. So I just want to say that we are protecting the district's best interest in this moving forward, and to protect the revenue of the district moving forward in that expense, in that aspect. But this isn't a systemic thing. It was just a one-time calculation because of the millage rebalancing error that occurred. And I believe the error occurred primarily because the money that came in from the state really threw that off, threw the balancing act off. And how much and how stable that money is leaves a lot to be desired, I think, as well. So when you go to now, I think this is something I touched on. I talked a little bit about this a little while ago. This is the homestead farmstead is part of Act 1, which is what limits your ability to raise taxes. But this is the homestead farmstead. I mentioned about the 198 taxable properties. 77 of them were approved for the homestead farmstead, and they will see an increase of about $45 in their tax bill going forward, and the board will approve that in the caucus meeting as well. So while the millage rate will go up, they will see an additional increase in their reduction on that as well. So once again, members of the public that are tuning into this, and we'll see this later, the board here did not raise taxes. Enacting this budget is not raising taxes on anyone. Well, Perry County's residents will see a tax decrease. They're more than likely will see a slight tax increase next year when the balancing act goes through again, depending on what the assessment values do. And this will continue to be a seesaw balancing act as more assessment value comes in. And this is something that will always be a part of what Susquenita does as long as they have a multi-county district. By the way, on the PASBO call, there was 67 districts, and they actually used Susquenita as an example because other districts were struggling with the same thing that we were struggling with other counties, seeing tax increases that were a little bit higher than they would like to see, given how inflation and whatnot has impacted their tax base. So I just wanted to share that with you and not hit you guys with it on June the 6th at a caucus meeting, because this just came up when Dr. Fox reached out to you guys about a week ago, and I think this was a very, very important information to get out to the public and very important information to get out to all of you guys so that you guys had the most up-to-date information possible. Do you guys have any questions for me? Mrs. Madish, Madish, is there any questions from the public? And if there's any questions that come in from the public, you're watching this, please reach out to my office. It's 717-957-6000, option 5, and I will be more than happy to answer any questions or schedule a meeting with you and go over it.
Well, I appreciate everybody, and I appreciate everybody coming so quickly to hear this information. Again, sincerely appreciate it, and we wanted to share this out as soon as possible. So without any questions at this time, wish everybody a safe and happy Memorial Day weekend. Thank you. And for all those who serve, we thank you for your service.